Shotgun with Charlie.
Riding shotgun refers to the practice of sitting next to the driver in a moving vehicle. The term riding shotgun came around after the time of the stagecoach, when somebody used to sit next to the driver holding a shotgun, in case they ran into bandits. My name is Charlie Cook, and I drive a lot. I like to talk to people while I'm driving, so I interview people in my car while I'm driving. Welcome to Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Hey there, thanks for watching this episode of Riding Shotgun with Charlie and tuning into the show. If you are watching on YouTube and you are not a subscriber, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit the notification bell. It's good for all things YouTube related, and I'm glad you guys are here. I have been watching the analytics on YouTube, and there are more new people watching the show, which is wonderful, but we want to get those get you guys to subscribe to the show as well. So if you can do that, we greatly appreciate it. We hope you enjoy the episode. All right, welcome to this episode of Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Today, this is part of the Southern California tour, and I am with Michael Schwartz from San Diego County Gun Owners and Gun Owners Radio. Gun Owners? Is there an S?
Gun Owners Radio.
Gun Owners Radio. So we're here with him. He just had a great event called GunProm. Michael, thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh.
Thank you for
Charlie, I didn't even recognize you, man. I thought this was my Uber. Oh, geez, this is great. Okay, this works. This works. Have you thought about charging your guests, like doing part Uber, part riding shotgun? I mean, make a couple of bucks for production?
That would be nice.
Yeah, right?
That would be nice.
I could be your guinea pig. Thank you for having me, in all seriousness.
Thank you for being on the show, man.
Huge pleasure having you here in San Diego for our event last night. It was very, very awesome. I can't believe you came all the way out here, but...
oh my gosh. Well, we're going to blame it all on John Petrolino, who I need to thank. Send a special shout out to John Petrolino. He is known as the Pen Patriot. He won an award last night. He's now an award-winning writer.
Yes, he is.
Which is cool. But he's letting us use his stagecoach while he's out vacationing with his family. I am out driving his car around and racking up the miles, and $6.15 gas. That's all right.
Welcome to California.
Oh my God. I don't know how you guys do this. Jeez, everyone's got to start selling drugs. Anyway, let's talk about you. Let's talk about how you started, why you started San Diego County Gun Owners, and how that turned into
what it is today.
Yeah, the Gun Owners Radio, the GunProm, all this stuff.
Well, it was about 7 years ago. I was doing activism. Me and a bunch of people were doing more and more activism, Second Amendment political activism, for years, and it really kind of felt like, people would kind of, hey, we're all for the Second Amendment, and then they'd go off and vote for people or support people that were running for office that didn't care about the Second Amendment at all. And so we kind of felt like, we were getting patted on the head, like, oh, that's cute, see you later, And started looking around and, okay, well, what groups, who's making a difference in San Diego, like across the board?
Right.
And started looking at those different organizations to see what they had in common. And what they had in common was they were raising money. They had a lot of members. They had full-time staff. And they were building a community. Whatever their issue or interest was, they were building a community. So we decided, hey, you know what? We're going to do all that. The other thing they all had in common is they were almost all really based in tax policy. It was really what it boiled down to.
What do you mean?
There were anti-tax organizations, there were taxpayer protection organizations, there were, even the local Republican Party wasn't standing up for any kind of social issue or anything other than, hey, we're going to fight whatever tax the Democrats are trying to impose on us. It was just all about taxes.
Can we go straight or take a left?
Take a left.
All right.
And I decided, you know what? We're going to do all the same stuff, but rather than tax policy or anything else, we're just going to talk about guns. We're going to talk about the Second Amendment. So we did all that. We started an organization. We endorse people. We take membership. We have full-time staff. And last night at our dinner at GunProm, that's a big part of building a community.
Yeah.
We had 700 plus people there.
Yeah, what do you call that? A fundraiser and a friend raiser?
Yeah, fundraiser and a friend raiser.
I love that.
And so that's what, we have 3,200 members just in San Diego, and we're a community. We are the Second Amendment community in San Diego. And so that's what we did, and it's just worked. And I said last night when I was talking to the crowd, more people own guns because of San Diego County gun owners, more people carry guns for defense, more people run for office because of San Diego County gun owners, more people vote. Just more and more, we're just building the community. More people read about us and listen to us, and that's all a good thing. It's changing culture.
It is good stuff. Everyone, not everyone, a lot of folks that I know that do stuff that I do, that have radio shows or podcasts or YouTube channels or whatever, there's something else that they do. So John and I were trying to figure this out. We're like, so he's like, Michael was, I think he was involved in banking, and then like all he does now is San Diego County Gunners. I'm like, so Michael Schwartz is Michael Schwartz all the time.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah.
I'm a professional Michael Schwartz. That's what I do. That's my resume. It just says Michael Schwartz. Experience, awesome. Michael Schwartz.
Oh my God.
Yeah, well, so that's the other part is when we started, we built the organization and figured out, all right, this is how we're going to do it. This is the mission statement, et cetera, et cetera. And it's kind of funny. There's a lot of stuff when you're building an organization, or you're starting an organization, I should say. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of decisions that have to be made that you don't really anticipate. Like I remember sitting in front of some graphic artists, and they're showing me like 3 or 4 different logos, and I'm like, I don't know how to make this. Like, how do I decide which logo to use? How do I decide what color it should be?
Right.
So there was a lot of, so I thought, hey, we're just going to do this gun group, and it'll be great. And then there were like 100,000 decisions that had to be made.
Sure.
And one of them was, who's going to work for this organization? Who's going to leave their career or whatever they're doing and run this organization? So yeah, I was in banking for like 15, 16 years. And I sprinted away from banking to do this. It's extremely rewarding.
Yeah,
that's an extremely rewarding job. It's really, really fulfilling, and people are so appreciative of what we do, and so it's really great. But yeah, that's what I do full time. We organize people, we raise money, engage with media. That's what I do full time.
This is the dead end?
You gotta pull a U here.
Oh my God, dude, this is weird.
Yeah, we don't make it easy. We don't make it easy to drive at all.
I guess not.
We high gas prices, confusing streets.
Yeah. All right. So before you started San Diego County Gun Owners, what's your gun background? How long did you go? Did you grow up hunting or shooting?
So never hunt. I've still to this day I've never hunted.
No?
Not a hunter at all.
Okay.
My old man had guns, but we didn't really go shooting at all. I mean, I remember I got a BB gun when I was 10, and he taught me, the rules, right?
Shoot your eye out.
Yeah, exactly. So I knew gun safety, and I wasn't really, but I was always into it. Grew up watching Red Dawn, right?
Red Dawn,
the documentary, and then when I was I played paintball when I was in high school. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of gun guys in that group, and then when I was 20. I just couldn't wait to be 21 so I could go buy a Glock. I wanted a Glock 19 so bad.
Yeah.
And bought a Glock, and that didn't scratch the itch. So I went and bought a Mossberg 500 that I still own. That didn't scratch the itch. And so I went back in and I bought an AR. And I remember the guy telling me I wanted an AK.
Yeah.
Because of Red Dawn, right? And the guy was like, look, he basically said all the AKs are gone. And I said, well, I don't really want an AR. And he said, look, these are about to get banned. You definitely want to get this now.
Wow.
And this would have been, like 98, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, that's right when they were implementing this, a new version of the assault weapons ban, quote unquote,
right,
in California. And so, boom, those are 3 guns. And I just kind of had them, kind of went to the range every now and then, didn't know what I was doing really for years. And then what happened was, here's the story. What happened was in 2007, my wife and another couple and I went out shooting in the desert and got harassed by law enforcement.
Really?
And it was that same Mossberg 500. It had just a pistol grip. It had no stock, just a pistol grip.
Right, so you look like the Terminator.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and he said, "Oh, this is illegal in California," and I politely corrected him and politely, you know, had a conversation with him and basically proved that he didn't really know what he was talking about, very politely. Mm-hmm. And I got really bummed out, and I thought, man, something has to change. I remember going back to work and talking to my friends, you know, after the weekend, and they were kind of like, well, gosh, what were you doing out there shooting guns? Like I was doing something wrong. And I just thought, you know, it's got to change. So I got involved in the NRA, I got involved in the Republican Party, I got involved in every campaign, every group I could think of, and we made a bunch of mistakes and, you know, did a lot of things right, and eventually San Diego County gun owners.
Wow.
That's the story.
That's pretty interesting.
But I got to tell you, I really can't emphasize enough you know, being harassed like that, kind of being singled out for exercising a right. That had an effect, and it made me look at other groups who have experienced similar, with a little bit different view, and I think that really kind of built. So that's kind of built into the culture of San Diego County gun owners. You know, I don't know if you looked across the room much last night, but there was every kind of person in the room. Yeah. Every kind of person, young, old, different heritage, different lifestyle, different, you know, economic, you name it. But we're a rights group. You know, that's what we're all about. It happens to be the Second Amendment, but we're all about you know, rights and freedom.
It's hard to not mix guns and politics, because often it's the left that are the anti-gun folks, but it's not always the case, you know.
And that was frustrating. There's too many. I think too many for years. Too many gun owners. I think they were doing three things wrong. Number one, they were relying on lawsuits, completely relying on lawsuits. And I think it's because some people were just downright lazy. They didn't want to get involved. Hey, you know what? We'll just pay a lawyer to do it. Right. And some people just didn't know what to do. Like, well, I don't know what to do. We'll sue them, I guess. You know, didn't know what to do. So there's a lot of reasons, but we were way too reliant on lawsuits. And lawsuits are risky. Lawsuits are expensive. They take a long time. And the other thing is, the thing that none of us want to say or admit, is that there are some gun laws that we hate that aren't going to lose in court. Whether that's right or wrong, that's totally up for debate. Whether I agree with it or not, doesn't matter. But the reality is, there are some gun laws out there that we hate that eventually, you know, courts are going to decide, hey, you know what, this isn't so bad. Right. So relying on lawsuits was a huge mistake. Mistake number two was I should have stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night. Just fell out of my head. Oh, not engaging with media. Yeah. Just ignore, like, well, the liberal media, those guys are all jerks, you know, and just completely disengaging with media, and they end up kind of being in their own little bubble. And then when an election happens, for example, they think, well, gosh, how did all these people vote for this horrible person? Right. Well, because you don't know any of those people. You're in your own little gun bubble. Right. You know, and there are all these people outside of that bubble who would care if if they heard the message. So we really focus on getting on the 6 o'clock news and telling our side of the story. One of the most successful examples of that was we had our $10,000 gun show challenge. And what happened, but every 3, 4, 5 times a year, the gun show would come to town, and the local news would run a story about how horrible gun shows are and how you can just go buy a machine gun and all this malarkey. So we decided, and then I'd get like a sentence, like, and Mike Schwartz from San Diego County Gun Owners says he disagrees, and that'd be it, right? The whole story would be anti-gun, and then I'd get like a sentence. And so I decided, you know what? We're going to do a $10,000 gun show challenge, basically have a press conference and say, hey, if you can do any of these things that they claim you can do, if you can just walk in and buy a machine gun or whatever, if you can do those things, we'll give you $10,000. And so we got the entire article, and the other side only got 2 or 3 sentences.
Nice.
And so we drove, the message, which was really, really great. So number 2 is they ignore media. They ignore whatever you want to call it, mainstream media, the 6 o'clock news. And then the third thing they do wrong is they purposely avoid politics. They say, well, we're just going to do like an educational shoot. Or we're not gonna, we just want to, talk about the sport of whatever. And they kind of half-heartedly talk about the Second Amendment, when I think that we really, for years, should have been way more involved in good old-fashioned politics. Mm-hmm. Not just like, well, we're just going to teach some Boy Scouts and hope that they like guns and eventually grow up to vote the right way. Right. It's great. Not that that's bad. That's good. Do all those things. But we've been ignoring one of the most important things, which is politics. Like, in the ring, roll up your sleeves, duke it out, politics. And that's our forte. That's our number one thing that we do.
That's cool. That's cool. How did all this parlay into the Gun Owners Radio?
So it's never part of the plan, and we've really learned to. I swear we never say no. We probably should say no more often, but except to gun laws, right? New gun laws, we say no to those. But everything else, if somebody has an idea, man, we've built the organization so that it's infrastructure. It's a car, and if you want the keys to drive it, great. Tell us what do you need? What kind of resources can you do? And if you're willing to put the work in, we're willing to back you. Well, one of the board members said, hey, let's do this 1-hour show. Dave Stahl he was doing like 5 hours. He does 5 hours every Sunday. It was all on cars, and one of our board members, Lance Pelkey, he said, well, why don't we just carve out 1 hour and we'll just talk about guns, and we'll promote San Diego County Gun Owners. It'll be great. And that grew to 2 hours, and I went from being, it was kind of we'll just have you on every once in a while, and right. You can say some stuff every now and then. Well, it went to a 2-hour show where I'm on every single week, and we talk about all kinds of stuff, and it's been really, really cool and rewarding. But yeah, it was never part of the idea. It was just a really, really good idea. Now Rich Umel took it over, and he's the producer, and he's doing a really great job. Yeah,
he's a great guy. Yeah, that's really cool. Who are some of your favorite guests?
By far, it was 2 guys. They were kind of the same guests. They actually they work together. They train in firearms. Benji, I always mess his last name up. Benji Manabog, and then Angel, and I can't remember his last name, but he's on Instagram. He's OG Pumpkin on Instagram, and both those guys had an amazing story. I really, honestly, it was one of those weeks where I just didn't do the homework I needed to. I had a lot going on, and I'm like, okay, who are we talking to? Right. And it was Benji. I'm sorry, it was Angel, and he was a ranger in the Army, but before that, he was a legit, violent LA gang member. And like a no nonsense, Yeah. And he finally realized this is not going to work. I am not going to get out of this alive. And he joined the Army, and it was a fascinating story. And I kept him on for an extra segment, and I just go, oh my gosh, this is great. And he said, well, if you like me, wait do you talk to Benji? And we had Benji on the next week, and Benji was MARSOC, and the Marine Corps has their special ops is MARSOC. And he was, did a lot of drugs. He was a skater punk in high school, did a lot of drugs, alcohol, and he was in a death spiral as well. Wow. And a recruiter, it's funny, he went into the Navy recruiter, and they said, nope, just beat it. You clearly, kid, I'm not even going to waste my time on you. Wow. And this Marine recruiter took him under his wing and said, look, you come here every day after school and do your homework, and we'll get you into the Marine Corps, and literally saved his life. Wow. Both those guys are rock solid individuals. Benji does his company is Thrash and Raid, which is a skateboard company, and and again, Angel's OG Pumpkin. Both those guys were fascinating. I really, we talk about guns, we talk about the law, we talk about politics, we talk to attorneys, we talk to a lot of people. But what I really like doing is talking about people, not just talking to them or whatever. Like, I want to hear, what makes you tick, what got you into this, and
right?
How do you feel about things? Not just what you think. We all think the same thing. We all have the same opinions, except for the most heated arguments we get into are 9mm versus 45.
Right?
Well, they're both bullets and they both go in guns. I mean, we generally agree, but I want to know, like, where'd you come from? Like, how did you get these opinions? Because I particularly find that stuff really fascinating. I remember we talked a lot when I interviewed you. We talked a lot about your background and what got you to this point.
Yeah.
And I think that's fascinating. I also think that helps us being, gun owners relate to people that aren't gun owners or just aren't really immersed in gun owner culture. I think it helps them relate. Like, oh, hey, all right, yeah, I'm a guy just like that guy,
Yeah, absolutely.
It helps a lot.
Absolutely. I mean, this is one of the objectives of me starting my show and doing my show. I want people to see that gun owners are regular folks. You know? Like, we're not crazy lunatics. We're not bloodthirsty. We don't drink the blood of babies from skulls. And Rarely do we do that. Yeah. It's gotten so expensive. You just can't do it anymore with inflation. Yeah, no, I hear you. It really is, though. And again, I keep talking about our membership, but I'm so proud of the fact that we have Republicans and Democrats and libertarians and all kinds of different political folks and people in the LGBT community and people of color and all kinds of different folks, and I'm really proud of that. Men and women. We haven't looked at it lately, but I think our membership is darn near 50-50 men and women. Wow, that's amazing.
I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm overstating, but it's really high. We have a high concentration of women because we talk about safety. We talk about, hey, we want to keep you safe. It's not fair that you can't defend yourself.
Right.
And that's something they relate to,
That's very cool.
That's something everybody relates to, I think. All right. What did you like about GunProm? What stood out to you? What's something that you really kind of noticed?
I noticed that, I noticed there were a lot of people. And I know last year you said, it was limited to 999?
Yeah, we had just under 1,000 people.
Which is hysterical to me.
This year was a little lighter. We had somewhere in the mid 750, something like that.
That's incredible, man. I think that's the thing that stood out to me is I've gone to a number of events around the country, in different states that are pro-gun events for pro-gun groups, and this was huge, like huge.
Yeah.
Like, I was totally bowled over. I was telling people over the last month, I said, hey, I'm going to San Diego to this thing called GunProm. They're like, GunProm? What's that? I don't know. What, are you going to marry your gun and date your gun? I'm like, you're being ridiculous. I'm like, no, you're going to dress up, you're going to hang out with, I said it's a fundraiser for this group, and you dress up, you hang out, and have dinner.
It's actually the Second Amendment celebration dinner.
Nice.
But what happened was, the first time we had it, everybody, got all dressed up, showed up, and nobody recognized each other because we were all dressed up. We all knew each other from the range or whatever.
Yeah.
We're just like, oh my gosh, and so that it was, it's in the spring, so it got nicknamed GunProm, and it stuck. And I actually went out and bought GunProm.com.
That's
so
awesome.
that we could, put information up there.
That is really cool. Yeah, it was huge. There were a lot of people. You could tell from different walks of life. Not everyone was dressed up, fancy and all, done up really nice.
Yeah.
You guys had you raffled off like 24 guns?
Like 35.
35. Holy moly.
Yeah, like 34, 35 guns, and a tomahawk, and a flamethrower.
And a tomahawk and a flamethrower. I missed the flamethrower.
Yeah, the flamethrower was cool.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So you're auctioning off a lot of stuff, and man, I think it's great. I spoke at an event back in Massachusetts a few years ago, and it was on a Sunday morning in November at like 11 o'clock. And I was telling some friends, I'm like, hey, you know, there's this event, I'm going to be speaking on it, you should come check it out. And they're like, oh, can they do it on a different day? I'm like, they're doing this. It was the Capitol rally, the 2A Capitol rally, is what they called it. And at 11 o'clock in the morning, somebody was speaking. This event was on the every state capital at 11 o'clock that morning in their own time zone. And they're like, can you change it? Like, we can't make it that time because we're going to be watching the...
Gotta go watch the Pats.
Gotta watch the Pats. And I'm like, boy, the ironic thing is you're going to watch the Patriots instead of
being a Patriot.
Yes. Like, that's really, really ridiculous.
Well, I'll tell you what I've really learned and had to practice is, you know, the first few years of activism, you're really charged up, you're really passionate, and you don't understand why everyone else isn't in the same place you are. And so you get frustrated with people and you start, you know, yelling at them or whatever, right? You just can't do it. You gotta just put it out there. You know, gather as many people as you can at whatever event you're doing, and be understanding that people, hey, you know what? I have a different priority today. I might have a different priority next week, but it's enormously frustrating. It's frustrating when people are like, I gotta go watch a Pats game. Really? You gotta go watch it? I mean, this is the Second Amendment. You know, well, today's you know, Pats game. So
right.
I get it, but we've just really, you know, if you gather enough people, you know, you only need about 10% of them to show up at any given thing, right? So,
right.
I mean, we have 3,200 members, and we had like 750 people last night.
That's pretty incredible.
So yeah, but I mean, you know, maybe, you know, and you know, you consider people are bringing dates or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to figure that's, you know, like 1/6 of our membership or something like that showed up, you know. And, you know, but hey, we still had 700. 1/6 of 3,200 is still, you know,
still a chunk of people.
Yeah.
What? There's a lot of program groups out here. Like, what is the California Gun Group?
San Diego County Gun Owners.
Obviously.
There's some, so the NRA, everybody does a little bit different thing.
Yeah.
The NRA has a representative in Sacramento, and he, you know, he's in charge of talking to the Assembly and the State Senate and that sort of thing. There's the California Rifle and Pistol Association, and they also have a representative that does that. They endorse people running for office, at least on the state level. You know, and they do some education stuff. They do a lawsuit here and there. And, you know, of course, Firearms Policy Coalition is doing amazing work.
Yeah.
They started here in California. Now they've you know, gone national. Mm-hmm. So, but in their, you know, education, but they file lawsuits. You know, they find something to sue over. They find plaintiffs. They find funding. They find an attorney, and they put it all together. And they've done an amazing job. We've partnered with them really well. We're on like 5 lawsuits with them.
That's cool.
And yeah, it's really nice. We're playing. Of course, there's Gun Owners of California. Is an organization that's tightly affiliated with Gun Owners of America. Mm-hmm. Gun Owners of California and Gun Owners of America was started by the same guy. He was a state senator here in California.
Oh, cool.
H.L. Richardson, back in the 70s. And it's still run by his granddaughter is still involved in the organization. His daughter, his son-in-law, you know, plus a bunch of other people. Anyway, they're really great. Sam Paredes and everybody is really, really great at Gun Owners of California. So we all just do different things. We all play our part, you know. Well, you know, like we don't endorse on the state or federal level. We just endorse on the city council, county board, and sheriff level. Mm-hmm. And we all just kind of play our part. And it works, you know, it's working. I was about to say it works really well. If it worked really well, we wouldn't have these horrible gun laws. But it's working, and there's definitely a light at the end of the tunnel.
That's awesome. You guys are spread out to some other groups too, right?
We did. A couple years after San Diego, Orange County, some folks in Orange County reached out and said, hey, we want what you have here in Orange County. So we started that. We also have There's Riverside and San Bernardino County, which are, it's called the Inland Empire. Those two counties combined.
Okay.
So we have Inland Empire gun owners. So that's 4 different counties. But that's actually, there's 3.5 million people in San Diego. There's 3 million people in Orange County, and there's like 4 million people in Riverside and San Bernardino combined. So, I mean, any one of those areas is, bigger than 15, 16, 17 different states. It's a lot of people. San Diego is bigger than 19 states when it comes to population. Wow. So there's a lot of people. And then next year we're looking at doing LA County gun owners.
That is really cool.
And it's all the same branding. It's all the same mission statement. It's all local. It's all nonpartisan. It's strictly Second Amendment. And it works really well.
Would something like this work in another occupied territory state?
I think so. We've had inquiries from, if it's too much one way or the other, I don't think it'll work. If it's too anti-gun or if it's too pro-gun, I'm not sure it'll be all that effective.
Gotcha.
But there are a lot of places that are, 50-50 or 60-40. And we've had inquiries from Maricopa County, which is, Phoenix in Arizona, and Clark County, which is Las Vegas.
Really?
Yeah, Michigan. People in Michigan, people in Virginia have called.
That's cool.
It's a lot, but it's a heavy lift. You can't just plant your flag and say, hey, we're doing this thing. We're a professional political organization, and there's a lot of infrastructure behind all that. So,
it's a PAC, right?
It's a PAC, yeah, Political Action Committee. Yeah.
That is amazing, man. That is unbelievable that you got it up and going, and it's.
And we're going to keep going. Like I said, LA is next, and then the only thing holding us back is funding. It takes a little bit of seed money to get one of these off the ground, and that's one of the lessons I learned. Orange County, we started Orange County gun owners with not one dime, with zero money.
Wow.
And that didn't work. So it took us a little bit longer for them to be successful. But we have a professional executive director full time running Orange County. We have one running Inland Empire as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Where do you see the group going? How far? Not that it's ever going to end, or not that it's there's always going to be work to do, but where is it headed?
Well, good question. The goal is from broadly is to have thousands of members, which we have 3,000 in San Diego. We want each of these groups to have thousands of members, 5, 6, 7, 10,000 members, so that they can have the funding to make sure that every city council member, every school board member, every county board member, and every sheriff is pro-Second Amendment. Every single one. So until every single person in those positions across the entire county is pro-Second Amendment, there's a lot of work to do.
Gotcha.
We're not going to stop until every single one is pro-Second Amendment. So we've set it up to where this is going to be, they will all be here long after we are not. It's going to continue.
That's an awesome legacy.
I'm very, very proud of all the work that everybody's put into it. A lot of people have helped, and a lot of people have been real successful. It's awesome. But I want to probably 5 or 6 of these, 7 or 8 of these in California, and then we'll start looking at other states. Utah, we've had inquiries from Utah.
Wow.
And people are fooling themselves. People in Arizona, their senator, one of their senators, runs an anti-gun organization. In the last election, they voted for Biden. So people are fooling themselves when they say, "Oh well, gee, it's just California. It's just 4 or 5 states." You've got to ever vigilance. That's the price of freedom. So places like Utah, places like Nevada, even parts of Texas are becoming very anti-gun.
Unbelievable.
And I believe that our organization, our model, is the ounce of prevention from making sure that doesn't happen. So that's the goal. Spread all over the place, all over the country in different counties.
That's awesome. That's great. Like it's hard to believe that it's not hard to believe there's anti-gun folks. It's hard to believe that they're becoming more emboldened, and they're braver in all of the things that they're doing. You know, whether it's the the doxing of the SCOTUS members and going to their house and protesting right in their houses. Like that's not cool.
Yeah, it feels like they're running out of ideas too, doesn't it? It feels like part of the reason anti-gunners are becoming so, brazen with their actions is because they're running out of ideas.
Yeah.
So many things are getting implemented or struck down in court or whatever, or they're becoming unpopular. It used to be, not a lot of people remember this, in the late 80s and early 90s, it was a very real idea. They wanted to ban handguns. Basically, no civilian would be able to own a handgun. That was a real proposal that was getting traction.
Yeah.
And that's become completely. That's political suicide these days.
Oh yeah.
Which is great that it's political suicide. That means that the culture has changed, and we as gun owners have made that change happen. But they're kind of running out of ideas. They're running out of and it's so their ideas have gotten so extreme that they're either struck down or unpopular. That their actions are now, the only thing. Their actions are getting to be extreme, I guess. Feels that way anyway.
It's I remember when, oh my gosh, I think it was when George Bush was elected. I'd listen to Rush Limbaugh once in a while, and they're like, all right, like Rush, I think he became popular in the 80s, and he said, so they're like, well, there's a Republican in the White House, what are you going to do now? And he's like, the Democrats aren't going anywhere. Democrats are not going anywhere. And I feel the same way with the anti-gun folks.
Yeah.
They're not going anywhere.
It's a fact.
They are going places. They're going to Texas. They're going to Arizona.
Big time.
And we have the same thing in Massachusetts. We have these anti-gun folks in Massachusetts that move up to New Hampshire so they can live free or die. And then when they get up to New Hampshire, they're like, hey, we should have seatbelt laws.
Yeah, we don't want to be that free.
Right. And you're like, wait a second, it's not that. Like, it's live free or die. Like, you're if you want to wear a helmet, wear a helmet. If you want to wear a seatbelt, wear a seatbelt. The government shouldn't have to tell you to do all that stuff.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But like I said, I feel there's a huge light at the end of the tunnel. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I think that next year is going to be better than this year. 5 years from now is going to be better than that. And we're better. San Diego is better when it comes to Second Amendment today than we were 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So we just keep making progress. Holding back the beatings, and we just hold that back, just hold the line, and continue to work on the culture and advance good things.
Yeah, that's great. And it's, if we can keep I guess my attitude is, if we can keep the fight in the 8 states that are what's the word I'm looking for? May issue?
Right?
Right. With the
CC to carry permits, we're a May issue state now.
Yes. If we can keep those in the May issue states, if we can get rid of them, that'd be obviously ideal. But if we can't get rid of them, like we don't want New York to spread. We don't want California, New Jersey, Massachusetts. We don't want this stuff to spread to free America. Well,
and that's one of our biggest accomplishments. Is a few years ago, you can now get a CCW. You can get a carry permit, a California carry permit in San Diego for the first time in decades. And
that's incredible.
The number of they're issuing a couple hundred a month now. It's gone up like 600% the amount of permits that are issued. Yeah, it's a huge deal. It's in essence very clear. It's always may issue, but we've got it to the point where it's in essence. It's pretty much shall issue, but not quite.
Right. I had Joe Dramisi, right? I did a show with him, and he was saying that he has seminars where he helps people fill out the application and write the letter and the letter for why they want to have a carry permit. And he says this is what they're looking for. This is what they want to know.
That's another part of San Diego County Gunner. That's another part of our culture. Is we're really no nonsense. Hey, we want guns so that we can defend our life. No nonsense. We'll show you how to write, a good cause statement so that you can get a carry permit. Like, we'll get right in front of you. We'll sit down with you. Let's just write this thing and get it done. We'll show you exactly how to do it. No nonsense there. Our women's program. If you're a woman who wants a gun or training or a carry permit, we're not just going to hand you a pamphlet. We're going to, pair you up with a volunteer who's trained, and she's going to help you get it. And if you need a discount because it's too expensive, or you need a grant because you can't afford, we'll find the money and we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
And that kind of just roll up your sleeves. Hey, just do the things that it takes to get things done. That no nonsense thing is another big part of our culture. And Joe's a huge part of that. Joe Dramisi is kind of that block and tackle, nuts and bolts kind of stuff that needs to happen to help people. Buy guns, carry guns for defense, do it all legally, know the law, be proficient. We get right in and do it.
One of the things that came up with him is he's that maybe having some sort of training requirement is not such a bad thing. And he said he had a talk with you and a few other guys. He got re-educated.
Well, yeah, it was just a discussion. We need to be able to have discussions. It was, I know what he's talking about, where it just kind of came up like, hey, maybe there should be some kind of requirement, some kind of government requirement about training, and it just turned into a discussion. It was a very intelligent discussion. But yeah, the idea, we gun owners, we need to continue to be responsible and spread that attitude to other gun owners so that there will be no government mandates to do this stupid stuff. So they don't, government doesn't screw it up.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah, it's I said with him, it's like the whole Spider-Man thing. With great power comes great responsibility. And
nice.
And people need to learn, like, when you can and when you can't, and how do you interact with police officers if you're pulled over. And I've talked to so many friends that they'll say, well, what do you carry a gun for? Personal protection, whatever. I want to be able to protect me and my family and my kids. And they say, what, are you going to pull a gun on somebody if you get into a fight on the side of the road? I'm like, I'm 52 years old, man. I've never been on a fight on the side of the road, so I don't really anticipate that, And then I try to point out to them and say, listen, if you're going to use a gun offensively, then you probably aren't smart enough to have a gun yourself. Probably shouldn't worry about that.
And the gun community, we have a tendency to we are the best at making mountains out of molehills. With our it's got to be this way. It's only Weaver stance. That's it. Or Weaver stance is horrible. There's no good that can come with Weaver stance. We make these mountains out of molehills, and it seems like there are people. There are people that are really, really, really into the nuances of every little whatever preference. Not just rules. The safety rules are the safety rules, but. And then there are people that aren't educated enough at all about, they don't know the 4 safety rules. They don't know about muzzling, whatever. My goal is to get way more people like in between that, right in the, kind of in the center, where they're not, you know, I don't need them to know, you know, the 52 reasons that, you know, isosceles is better than Weaver, or,
right.
or, you know, modified is better than both, or whatever. I don't, you know, but, you know, let's make sure that everybody knows the 4 safety rules. You know, let's make sure that everybody knows the basics of range etiquette. You know, so it's kind of second nature in society, so that it's just a part of society. You know, we're driving around, everybody knows what to do when the light's green and the light's red. You know, you barely, you know what I mean? Like everybody, whether you drive or not. And that's, I want it that ingrained in culture. I don't know how a combustion engine works, but I know what red and green means. You know, if we can get everybody to that level, that would be great.
Yeah, that would be good. Very good.
But yeah, I'll tell you, the last month was rough after that horrible.
Oh, the incident in Texas.
Horrible incident in Texas. And, you know, media was, you know, on us, you know, and they were demanding answers from us, you know. Gun owners had nothing to do with it, you know. It was this guy that had, you know, horrible, you know.
Horrible upbringing, horrible life, horrible life situation.
And, you know, there were all kinds of problems, all kinds of mistakes made, and they, you know, but we gotta be able to push back on that, and we gotta be able to stand up for ourselves and say, hey, you know what, you know, my Second Amendment isn't the problem. You know, my rights are not the problem here. We're pillars of society.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a number of studies that come out and said that gun owners are the most law-abiding group of people there are.
Yeah, particularly the CCW holders.
Yeah.
Commit less crime than the general population and less crime than cops. You know?
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
It is. It is.
And that's the best part. I got to tell you, the best part of our organization, I get to meet the best people in San Diego. You know, the best, you know, most creative, the most successful, you know, people that are, you know, make San Diego what San Diego is, make San Diego great. And, you know, I get to meet them. We get to, you know, they get involved in the organization. And, you know, like I said, gun owners are great people.
Yeah. I'm with you. All right, listen. We're almost back to where we need to be.
Okay.
How can people find you? How can they find San Diego County gun owners?
Sure.
All the stuff you guys are up to.
Yep. There's a couple websites. Go to SanDiegoCountyGunOwners.com.
Yep.
SanDiegoCountyGunOwners.com is about the organization, and then go to GunOwnersRadio.com, and that's the radio show.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And we love, you know, follow us. I'm gonna tell you, if you're listening to this from another state, adopt us. Adopt San Diego County Gun Owners. You know, make the decision that, hey, I don't want this stuff in California coming to my state, so I will happily send you guys $10 in California to fight the fight.
To fight the fight, absolutely.
You know, consider it. I think it would certainly help.
Very cool. All right, we're about to see an action now, maybe. Maybe not.
He made it.
Whew.
That was close.
What else? What else? We gotta wrap it up. I know we're gonna take a left here.
I appreciate your show, man. I think you do a great job. I love what you do, and I'm so thankful that you came out here to spend time with us and see GunProm. I
thought this was great. I'm glad to be able to make it. You guys took care of us well, which is great. John Petrolino said this is the only, because of his work schedule, this is the only thing he can come to. So his wife's like, we're planning on going. We're going to turn it into a vacation. Do you want to come with us? I'm like, you serious? She's like, yeah. Well, you come with us. I'm like, okay, let's do it. So I've been looking forward to it for a long time.
Awesome.
This has been great. This has been a lot of fun. I really like the weather right here.
I was about to say, I'm sorry about the horrible weather. Isn't it beautiful?
It's great. Like, it's a little bit of a breeze. It's not so hot. It's not really humid.
Yeah.
Like, man, this is great.
This is what makes it all worth fighting for.
Oh. It does. And I love going to I love going to events like this and meeting new people and boosting the friendship.
Yeah.
Which is what it's about as well.
Yep.
So very cool.
Cool, Charlie.
we're going to wrap it up. We're going to pull over and wrap it up right here.
Awesome. And I'll be sure to give you 5 stars on the app.
All right, let's make it official. Michael, thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
We'll put links in for all your stuff. We'll get the word out. We'll share links and people can listen to the show. I know they can watch it. Where can they watch the show?
Gun Owners Radio.
Yeah.
Watch it on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/gunownersradio. But all the links are on gunownersradio.com.
All right. I used to end up tuning in and watching the show on through the Facebook Live.
Okay, good.
Which is pretty cool. So
good. Yep.
Awesome.
We're streaming live.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Listen, if you are not a member of the if you're not a member of the Second Amendment Foundation, you need to join them at saf.org. You can donate to them at the CCRBKA. That's the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, and you can check out all of your favorite pro-freedom podcasts at sdrn.us. That's the Self-Defense Radio Network. And if you haven't subscribed to Riding Shotgun with Charlie, please make sure you subscribe to it. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share it with your friends. And this is how we get the stagecoach across America. And again, Michael, thank you so much, man.
Thank you, Charlie.
This was a pleasure.
Awesome job.
We'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye.